Hey guys, in this video, I'll be talking about kind of like layering outerwear for if you're at work. So most places are going to be having you being in a dress code, especially for entry level positions, grocery store, um, retail store, warehouse work, that kind of thing. And what tends to happen is the weather. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes there's AC, sometimes you're working in a freezer, etc., etc. And what I have learned through doing multiple different jobs in multiple different climates in multiple different areas, this is going to be my video on tips and whatnot as far as what I recommend. What do I recommend as far as for what you should get? Other recommendation. First, I'm gonna make my first recommendation is getting a simple jacket. This is actually my first one. It's from Port Authority. It's still around. They still make jackets. It's relatively thick. It's great for working both in frozen or in a dairy setting. But it works well also on the floor. It's not too super thick. It's thick enough to get the job done. It is, as you see, it's solid black. This is probably the best and probably most recommended, I would say, jacket that I found in both retail, grocery, warehouse, that kind of thing. It does not have a hood. Most places will not want you to have a hood. So, Port Authority, their jackets are pretty good, pretty durable. I've had this for about 8 years, as you can probably tell. It's quite worn out. It does have an inside pocket. Unfortunately for mine, because of how old it is, and I used to put box cutter in there, which I recommend. Don't put a box cutter inside the inside pocket of any jacket, because it will ruin it, like mine did. But this is definitely really good. It's really good quality. Cheap. I think this is like $40 $40. You can buy it on Amazon. You might even be able to find it even cheaper, but I highly recommend it. Gets the job done. As I was saying though, most places will not want logos. So once again, depending on which job you're at, something like this is definitely not going to work. If you want something that's bright, you might be able to get away with it. It does say Gore on it. The only reason I would think that somebody would want something like this is if they need to be seen. So if they were using like a pit machine or something like that, just to be more visible. This one is actually by a biking company that is made purposely to be very well seen. Problem also with that is some coworkers might not like the bright colors, so I try to stay away from that. Another one, see, like that one has a logo, but Columbia, they make good jackets. It's got a hood though. It is very thin. It is a rain jacket. That would not work. I would not recommend that. So this is another one. Now most places will want you to try to keep it to black, but some places won't care, especially if you work in the night shift. Usually, if you're night crew, they don't care about the dress code as much. Usually, some places have. I've worked at some places where they did enforce uniform, and this would not qualify. However, in some of those places where they did enforce, I would get away with something like this because it is plain. It is not screaming out like, oh, I'm showing Louis Vuitton or Gucci or anything luxurious. It's not showing Nike. There is no logo. The problem with this one is there is no inside pocket. There is an outer pocket, which is nice for if you want to put your phone or your box cutter there. The pocket here is not as great though, not as useful. I don't use this really for when I'm at work, but it's something that possibly could. If you're having to travel pretty far, overcoat could be an option. Make sure that there is a coat rack, and also make sure you're thinking about, is this something that I'm okay with it if it gets lost or stolen? I can't tell you how many times things have been stolen from me at a workplace. Unfortunately, it is the sad truth. If it looks really nice, chances are somebody's going to want to pick it up. And that's just the day and age we're in. If you're in like an office setting or something, most likely that's not going to happen. When I was working one time in the one job that I was working in the office, none of my stuff was stolen. Everybody was super nice, very friendly. It's kind of like a family kind of a thing. And something like this, I would be wearing into there. When I wear this while I'm working inside a building or something like that, no. Would I be working outside in something like this? No. Just for travel. This is kind of like a makeshift pea coat. And this actually would work even in like a setting of like a grocery store or retail store. This is actually okay because this is all solid black. Yes, it's got the zipper, but this qualifies as solid black. This is a nice thicker material. This would be a little bit better and a little bit nicer than that one. I'd wear something like this if I was out on the floor, if I was helping customers, that kind of a thing. Much more presentable. Once again, this one is pretty much solid black. This would be okay. Other thing is, yes, it has multiple pockets, and it should, I guess it doesn't have an inside pocket, so that would be my only gripe. And I'll mention why I recommend an inside pocket as well, but it might not be a reason for everyone. This one has an inside pocket. So, that one does have an inside pocket. This one qualifies, and I've actually worn this in at work. I actually wore it in some interviews, and or not interviews, but when I was doing the the computer hiring process, and that a lot of places will have you do. It was a cold day, so obviously I wore this, and it was pretty cold, so this one's pretty thick. As far as for work, I would not recommend it unless you're inside like a frozen or a dairy, something really cold, but even then, because of how thick it is, it's not really worth it. This is another one. Now, it does have the logo, but it is, and this is made actually for working in a freezer. Specifically, it goes below 60 degrees. This does not have an inside pocket, unfortunately. But these pockets are made specifically big for gloves. And yeah, it definitely keeps you warm. It does have a logo, so this won't work for every situation, every job. But, and the other thing is it's navy. Navy, I think, would qualify for most places. However, I have been told that there that it is not okay to wear at some places, which I think is a little ridiculous, because it definitely looks presentable. Doesn't look like you're like screaming anything out. But that is how some places, some work environments are. It really depends on the manager, but this can be a viable option. Interesting thing is it does have pockets for pens, which is nice. So those are the recommendations for if you're looking at potentially getting ready for work. Like I said, the Port Authority black jacket, very common. It's got everything that you need, and that is the one that I would recommend, at least for starting out, because you also don't want to spend a lot of money and not know what you are, if you're going to like the job or what you're going to be doing potentially. So, because yeah, you might be hired on as something, but then they'll cross train you, and that happens quite often. So that's what I recommend. The reason why I say an inside pocket, and this is why, if you have headphones, have an inside pocket just to hold on to it, so when you want to walk out and go on break or go into the break room, you can easily access it. And that's the thing with work, every second saved is valuable, and you don't want to lose out any time on your breaks, because 5-minute break at some places, 10-minute break at other places, 15-minute break at other places. All those breaks are precious. So don't want to lose out on that. The other thing is, if you smoke, you definitely don't want to have your box of cigarettes in an outside pocket. I've seen a lot of people that do that. They smell like smoke. That's really not as good. And can be visible, and it can fall out. I've had it happen to so many people, and it's not great. The other reason is also for vaping. If you vape, it's better to have it in an inside pocket. It's the same with cigarettes. It's also just being discreet. If you're out working in a grocery store or a retail store, and you're out on the floor and dealing with customers, some customers will not like it if they know that you're a smoker. They will not want your help. So, just some tips on that. I recommend getting Port Authority. If you're in Frozen, I can't recommend enough getting a Frigidwear jacket. I'll be talking about other items as well, as far as for working. Yeah. But if you're not working in Frozen or dairy and you want a jacket, just make sure there's no logos. Preferably black. It's the safest color to get. And this is really if you're looking to buy something. That's the thing. If you want to go into like a Goodwill or something and find a cheap jacket, that works as well. But as far as for looking online, that kind of stuff, these are the jackets I recommend. Have a great day. Bye.